Let's get the volume up. Boom. We're continuing to read from Reparations and Reparatory Justice. This is part 3. Part 2 is behind the paywall. Part 1 is free. We're going through the steps for reparations. Did we go for 6? All right, let's do 6. Empowerment for community development and empowerment. I'm sorry, education for community development and empowerment. Africans in America have acquired knowledge, produced great inventors, built institutions, and developed extraordinary leaders, despite calculated efforts to deny Black people an education and or propagation of misinformation designed to destroy identity, self-esteem, and instill obedience to an oppressive system. That's mostly succeeded in 2024. The esteem of Black people is on the floor. During enslavement, Africans could be punished or even killed for learning to read. Post-emancipation, the vast majority of Black young people have been confined to separation and severely under-resourced schools during legal and de facto segregation. These conditions prevail today in what is sometimes called poor-performing schools. In higher education, African Americans have courageously endeavored to build and maintain a system of historically Black colleges and universities, many of which are struggling to survive. Therefore, we demand. The weird thing about this is this channel is an educational piece. And look, I don't even have enough people to get monetized. I don't even have 1,000 subscribers. And I got lessons upon lessons upon lessons. So the one thing about reparations, and the reason why I actually think we're going to get it, is because even when we get it, we're not interested in this. But we should be. And if you're interested in it, you should get this book. The allocation of funds for the expansion and the consolidation of the National Board of Education and African Ancestry as the body to devise standards and accredit African-centered educational programming for predominantly Black public schools throughout the country. The provision of monetary and material incentives by the federal government to school districts that adopt and implement a curriculum of inclusion of the history and culture of people of African descent in the United States. C. Funds to strengthen historically Black colleges and universities as the indispensable backbone of the higher educational infrastructure in Black America. The funding of an endowment to provide free education for students attending HBCUs who are committed to providing service to Black communities. Our communities are so in shambles, but I guess I don't know how you would serve. And like I said, a lot of Black people just aren't interested. We're not stupid people, really. We're not as ignorant as dumb as people think. And I'm talking about regular people that you would call ratchet and ignorant. Sit and talk to them. They know. They're just not interested. And that's bad. That's a bad thing. I don't know how you break through that. That's worse than not knowing. They know. They may not know all the details and the concepts like we do with the lessons here, but they know what the concepts are, but they don't know how to explain it necessarily all the time, but they know what they are. They know what's possible too, but just not interested. Affordable housing for healthy Black communities and wealth generation. This is definitely something we're going to get. Definitely. Historically, people of African descent were denied equitable access to programs within agencies like the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, that white Americans utilized to create prosperous suburbs across the nation and create wealth that could be transferred intergenerationally. Blacks were often victimized in discriminatory covenants that restricted them to certain neighborhoods, redlining by banks which refused to make loans to individuals and businesses in target neighborhoods, and most recently, subprime lending schemes, which resulted in the loss of billions of dollars in wealth and in the form of home equity. The persistence of these discriminatory policies and practices produced the intergenerational deficit in terms of wealth creation that has stunted the social and economic development in black families and communities. We were redlined in the 2000 teens in New Jersey. So, north, south, east, west, America is America. Therefore, we demand the funding of an African American housing and finance authority to it. It's weird weather. It's warm, then it's chilly, it's warm. Finance the planning and construction of holistic and sustainable villages with affordable housing and comprehensive cultural, educational, health, and wellness employment, and economic services. Function as a source of grants and loans for persons seeking affordable housing. We definitely need affordable housing. And I don't know if they're going to do it by giving us vouchers, which we have voucher systems in different states, if they're just going to ramp that up for us, or just give us a stipend. Some people called it, what did Alexander Hamilton call it? A citizen's dividend or citizen something. A basic income. MLK talked about it. Milton Friedman talked about it. Andrew Yang always talks about it. Even Mark Cuban said he supported it. After the pandemic, he supported it. Mark Cuban said he would support a $2,000 UBI. So I don't know. Strengthening Black America's information and communications infrastructure. From the earliest days of forced migration of Africans to these hostile shores, communications vehicles like the Black press have been critical to survival and development of Black communities. Black Americans' information and communications infrastructure was built and survives despite operating in a hostile environment and the absence of substantial public and private resources. More rapidly available to white individual and corporate information communication media. The most recent conglomeration of electronic and print media with the blessing of the federal government has been particularly devastating to the maintenance of Black America's information and communications infrastructure. Therefore, we demand an annual federal set-aside of advertising dollars to support Black-owned newspapers and magazines and radio television stations. These funds would be administered to National Newspaper Publisher Association, NNPA, and the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters, NABOB, under the guidance of the Reparations Trust Authority. I was part of the Collegiate Journalists and the Professional Journalists something association. My first degree is in print journalism. I guess instead of newspapers, this will be blogs. I have a site with Substack. Substack is good. Patreon is good. I guess people still use WordPress. Things like that. Funding for a national nonprofit, non-commercial newspaper, radio, and television network dedicated exclusively to cultural education, economic, business, and civic engagement, programming for the benefit of Black America. That's like a BBC type of thing. We used to have those. Even I guess we used to have some Black shows on them, but I'm not sure we ever had our own station. We had some great shows. Soul is one show that's good. I used to watch Tony Brown's Journal when I was a teenager. That was okay. I'm trying to think of what else it was. Now it's like all kinds of things. All kinds of like podcasts you can watch. Um, should I save this? Yeah, let's save this. We're gonna stop here. So we'll save 9 and 10 for Sunday. And you can get that on my Patreon page. I think reparations is gonna happen. I don't know what form it's going to take. It's either gonna happen a reparations program, or they're just gonna give everybody like a UBI, which really wouldn't solve the wealth gap, but would stabilize black people, would stabilize the black community. Because there's places where particularly black men are unemployed. Well, it used to be black men were unemployed like 50% of the communities. You go into some cities, some counties, but it's a lot of women now that's being let go. A lot of supervisors and managers that were black women in social services and things like that. Automation isn't making them unnecessary, so they're out here scrapping. They're going into non-for-profits, and they're going into different. Some of them have LLCs, and they have learning how to get credit lines, and they're learning how to do a lot of things. But a lot of them are doing non-for-profits. There's a lot of non-for-profit money. I'm working on a non-for-profit myself. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You're gonna steal it. So, yeah, I think they're gonna give us one or the other, and they may just give everybody UBI, and then have the banks do special programs for black people to try to help them get into certain neighborhoods. The houses won't be great. Then again, a lot of the old houses in quote unquote black neighborhoods, which don't exist anymore, everything's been gentrified. They've knocked down a lot of stuff and they're rebuilding all new stuff. So it's gonna work out if you can hang in there the next few years, assuming nature itself, climate change, doesn't reset everything back to zero. And if we can do UBI and people can stay off of the unnecessary jobs like we were in the lockdown, the environment was starting to clean itself up during 2020. So I'm thinking the environment will clean itself up. And I think if we can do that, we can set the environment, get it going in the right direction, stabilize human beings, and even save your little precious capitalism if that's what you want to do. It would make things better. And I think the mental illness, the stress would come down. People can band together. People can stop throwing away their spouses because their spouses don't have enough resources for them. So it will make everything much better. So I think we're gonna get it just because the alternative is what we have in New York City, which is a purge kind of society. Just yesterday, somebody stabbed somebody in the neck on the train because the person sat beside them and they didn't want them sitting beside them. So if you want to stabilize people so that anger, first of all, so that most people don't even have to ride the train, go into jobs that don't pay them enough anyway, do the UBI, do the special programs for blacks, and stabilize the society. Then everybody can have somewhat peace. But we'll see. I don't know what the powers that be are going to do. The masses seem to be upset, but I don't know how far they want to go. Do they really want to go all the way with this thing? There's a lot of protests, a lot of anger, a lot of things going on, but let's see. Let's see what happens. By the end of this year, parts of the country, well, we probably may end up parts of the country going one way, parts of the country going the other way. So we'll see. We'll see. And what part is what, we'll have to see. Try to be safe. It's going to be a rough summer. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and support. Hit the links. Give directly. become a sponsor. If you want me to talk about any of your things, or you want to come on and talk or whatever, just contact me. Um, I see a lot of people do live things. I don't do live because no one shows up. You see the support, it's minimal. So I'll just keep doing videos like this until 10 of you say, well, do a live thing. Then I'll do a live thing. Until next time, take care, be safe.